Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Let's Talk with Drop and Jabbo. I'm Jabbo, and that's Drop over there. Today we got a guest. His name is Cedric Moore, Currin, whatever. But today we're going to discuss about schools. We're going to discuss about vouchers, and we're going to talk about a little bit about DEI. And what I want to get into today, and what we're going to get into today, is going to be something that will inform you and teach you about what's coming up in the school system and what you need to do to prepare yourself. So with that, hey, hold on to your hats because it's about to get blown off, and we're about to take you somewhere that you need to go, but it may be hard, some of the things that you hear, but it's going to help you make decisions later on, and it's going to help you make decisions right now as well.
Yeah, let's get it.
They said I should give it up, like that just ain't good enough. I wasn't tough enough to make it through the storm, so I tried to feed my fire, doing what I desired. I'll never give it up. I'm nothing like a
Alright, we're going to get right into the nitty gritty. And Cedric, you are very, you're very knowledgeable. You've been working in the school system, Oklahoma City public school system, and working with the school system. And you've seen things from the inside, and you've also seen things from the outside. And to me, even more important to that, because when you have inside information and you have outside information in the education system, but you also have personal experience because you have your own children that are in the school system, then that takes your knowledge and put your knowledge and your experience together, and working with teachers, working with parents, and working with kids. My brother, that is very paramount. That gives you a perspective that is unique, and it's something that gives you a lot of. I want to say power, you know what I'm saying? Because knowledge is power.
Yes.
It puts you in a position to where you are able to help people. And that's why I got you here right now, just to break down and explain to us maybe the history of vouchers and where they're going.
All right. And so, no way am I an expert or a guru on this, but I do have some experience on the situation with working with vouchers, and also I'm just passionate about education and helping people. So I'm always listening and have my ear to the ground on what's going on with education in the United States, and especially here in Oklahoma.
yeah.
Now, we don't have vouchers yet here. What has been passed is a tax credit for parents, parent choice. So a parent can choose to take their kid, take them out of public school, and do homeschooling and get a $2,500 voucher or tax credit for that, or $5,000 tax credit if they choose to send their kids to a private school. I believe vouchers are on the way. When I lived in New Jersey in 2004, one of the reasons I moved there was to help my uncle and his friends. They were looking at the voucher system in New Jersey and Philadelphia area, and they wanted to help kids that were at low performing schools, take those students and help them go to private schools and charter schools to help them give them a better situation and give them more opportunities. I believe that eventually that's what's going to happen here. One thing that you have to think about as far as trying to do what's best for your child is you have to know your child. And you have to know how they learn and the best way for them to be educated. For instance, I have two boys. I have one son, I feel like I can put him in any school and he will do fine, private, public, wherever. I have another one that's a little bit more challenging because he marches to the beat of his own drum. but he needs to be challenged as far as academically. He needs to be stretched. With him, we are having that discussion on whether or not we should put him into a private school versus a public school. The public schools that we're looking at, they're great. Both of my boys have been in private schools as elementary. When they first started off, we were at a Christian school here in Oklahoma. Then we went into a charter school for the last part of elementary and middle school. And now my oldest is in a public school that he loves. Is playing sports. He's also taking advantage of the career tech system. Where he's going to Francis Tuttle and studying engineering. And now we're getting ready to make that transition for my youngest, going from charter and trying to figure out what's the best fit for him. Is it public or is it private?
Okay, so basically, with a tax credit, it will give you a choice. It will help you make choices, but there's still, I guess for me, it's promoted as an equalizer, right?
Yes.
It's promoted as, okay, well, everybody's complaining about public school, private school, whatever. And so in order to make things equal, we'll give every student how much that we would have given them, for that school or whatever. We're going to give it to the parent. And you can choose if you want to drive your school across town or if you want to keep them next to you. Like there's a few, there's a political side, and then there's the education, what's best for the kid side. And I believe that a lot of times those things kind of get mixed up, and if parents are not aware of things, then this is a perfect time to actually put your kid in a bad situation.
That is true.
And that's what I'm looking at, because I'm worried more about the kids.
Yes.
I said a lot. I don't know if you could
No.
break that down and comment.
I do understand what you're saying as far as how right now things are clashing. All right, as far as private or public. I always tell students this: your school is what you make it out to be.
Yeah.
Your school is what you make it out to be. If you're a good student that's gonna go in there, work hard, and take care of business, you're gonna love school. We love school, and I think it's because we made that school. We brought good energy, and we had great teachers, and we listened.
Yeah.
And a lot of times our parents weren't there, but we had teachers that cared for us, and they knew that if they had a problem, they could pick up the phone, and our parents weren't gonna take our word over theirs. I think that's one of the things that we have to do as parents, is because you're gonna have the same thing if you take your child out of public school and put them into a private school. I coached at a private school.
Okay.
And seeing some that they have the same problems as public schools. It's a lot more parental involvement in charter and private schools. So parents do have to understand that you're going to be asked to do a little bit more than you would at a public school. But don't get me wrong. Public schools want parent involvement. They want that. When I was a teacher, my classroom door was always open to parents because I want that parent to know what I'm teaching, and we as a team, how we can make sure that child is going to succeed. That we're both meeting the educational needs of that child.
Well, let me ask you that. Go ahead, finish up.
This is the one thing when you brought up transportation. I think that is going to be the biggest thing when it comes to vouchers. Is can you get your child to that school on time, and can you pick them up on time?
Yeah.
And not have those teachers, because they're not there to babysit. They're there to educate your child, not babysit your child.
Right. Here's what I'm trying to figure out, though. because it's more of a big thing to talk about it now than it used to. Mm-hmm. Even though all three of us didn't go to a public school. You know, so many people think Millwood, when we was there, it was not a public school. It was an independent school.
Yes.
It was closely to a charter school than it was to a public school. Mm-hmm. We didn't get public school dollars. The money came from parents, the people that lived and voted on stuff. You know, that's how it was called independent. I never knew of charter until I got a little bit older. But here's where I'm kind of lost on is why is it so important to give are we not already giving a tax credit to every school? I mean, to every parent that has a kid in school? Or are they trying to give it only to charter school kids? Are they saying they're not going to give it to public school kids, parents?
So no, you won't. As far as with me understanding the bill that has been passed, you will get an additional dollars if you homeschool your child or if you send your child to a private school.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Now that does change it up a lot because I'm all about fairness. Mm-hmm. I'm about no one person should get more than the other person just because of who they are.
Yes.
I'm about that. And if you're going to give it, now I'm not against giving more money to parents for tax credits, but I am against it if you're not just going to give it to everybody. Mm-hmm. I'd rather for you just give it to everyone. That way you don't cut out no one, and you don't look like you being doing some collusion and stuff. You're not doing that, in my opinion, because the last time I checked, when you became and I'm talking straight to the superintendent of schools, when you become the superintendent of schools, you're the superintendent of all the schools, not just the charter or the private. You're the superintendent of all of them, as far as schools. Now, I do believe that kids, I didn't even know that it wasn't a school choice. I always believed we had a choice.
Well, and I can see how you would think that, because for those that are able, mm-hmm. if a child, if you felt like the school wasn't the perfect fit for your child, you would do what you had to do to get them to another school that you felt was better. Like right. I said, my boys, they were at a private school when we first moved back here. And we drove from the northwest side all the way to Midwest City. Mm-hmm. Because we felt like that school over there would better prepare our boys for what they needed and give them the foundation that they needed, mm-hmm. Being introduced to school. And then I was told about a charter school opening, and a good friend of mine, he said, "Hey, you have to get your child in this school." I said, "Well, what do I need to do to get them in this school?" He said, "Well, you're big into STEM, and they're looking at starting this, they call it STEMmed charter school, science, technology, engineering, math, and design."
Yeah.
And he said they have committees. They're looking for people to volunteer for these committees. So I did that. I went and volunteered for these committees. Things worked out well, and my boys ended up going there, and it was a great choice.
Yeah.
Now we're at the point to, like I said, we have one in high school, we have one that's getting ready to leave middle school and going to high school. Mm-hmm. Think about us. Think about our situation.
Right.
You lived in the district.
Yes.
You didn't live in a district, but your dad lived in a district, so you moved into the district. Mm-hmm. My mom taught in the district.
Right.
Left, And so she did what she had to do to make sure that I stayed in the district that we where we went to school. A lot of times that's what parents do. When we moved to my wife and I, when we moved to Amarillo, Texas, when she was getting courted by this law firm, the funniest thing to me was that they showed us neighborhoods not based on the houses or the housing price, but they showed us neighborhoods based on the schools.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, I'm serious. I am serious.
Right.
And when I say they, I'm talking about the presidents of the law firm.
Okay.
Showed us around town and said, this school has this neighborhood has the best elementary school, but it feeds into this middle school and this high school. This neighborhood has the best middle school that feeds into this high school, which we consider to be very good.
Yeah.
This neighborhood has the best high school.
Now, since you mentioned that, though,
Man.
that's a lot of reason why we always talk about Oklahoma don't get no big companies.
Yes.
Or no big, economic
corporations,
type corporations and
yes.
stuff. It's because of our school system. It's not looked at as a good school system where they could, bring people here and say, hey, we got this type of schools doing these type of performances, so we can accommodate you and your family. And so with that being said, with everything that you just explained, because what I didn't know, I thought everybody was getting the tax credit. So can you clarify the tax credit situation for me?
Well, that's something
If
that
you do know,
yeah, that's something that I would have to do a little bit more reading and studying on. And we could have two people to come in and talk more about it that I would say that's more involved on the political and legal side of those that we know. We could have Mr. Harrison and Miss Currin-Moore, my wife, to come in and talk about that.
Yes.
Especially with her being in education law, with here in Oklahoma and in the state of Texas.
Okay.
But that's something that I am looking more into and discussing because I want to be able to help parents out with that situation.
Yeah. You should have brought her with you then.
Well, yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, she's busy today. She's busy. As a matter of fact, she's having to go down to Texas this week to help out with some things down there. But
would the voucher be different than the tax credit?
Yes, because the voucher with the voucher, that's actually so okay. I say this all the time, and I tell the students this. Your butts in seats, students in seats mean dollars that go to that school.
Yeah.
Okay. So with the voucher, when that kid leaves that school, that district, and go to a private school. See, private school, a kid in the seat, the money comes from the parent.
Right.
All right. The same way. And with homeschooling, I believe the parent had to take some, had to pay some, like a virtual school or something like that.
Right.
Now virtual schools are free.
Okay.
Or online classes.
But I like where you're going though. Stick with it. Stick with it.
So now with a voucher, when that kid leaves the public school and go to a private school, those dollars follow him to that school.
Got you.
That amount follows him to a school. Now there will be other monies that a parent might have to pay because I don't think it would cover uniforms and things like that.
Right.
But for the most part, those dollars that would normally go to a public school now follows that child to a private school.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna stay on that right quick, but I got a question that you might be able to answer, you might not. Okay. The money that is provided for those kids' butts and seats, that money, where is that money coming from?
It comes from us, taxpayers.
Okay, now, is it coming from the taxpayer or all of us collectively paying for that kid's butts and seats no matter what school he's at?
Well,
or is it only the city? Like, I live in Seminole, so my tax dollars in Seminole goes to that kid in Seminole. Is that how that goes?
I believe all our tax dollars
Or collectively,
yes, yeah, is going towards
every kid,
every
public
school kid. Now that's the thing. So a lot of times we think vouchers. Oh man, they just popped. It's been around forever. 1980, I think Ronald Reagan tried to use
I remember
vouchers.
that happened.
And the whole thing is, Bessie Du Bois, she was the Secretary of Education when Trump was in office, and someone asked her about that. Was like, why are you pushing for vouchers? Like, if we put our money together, couldn't we? And she clearly said that the public dollars is the amount of money that would be needed in order for private schools to succeed and try to educate, all the kids that they are trying to get in there into private education. Now it's all about. Now, like I said, this is just my opinion. This is just my thoughts. It's all about those that have and have nots. Those that have, you trying to keep the money that they have. Why can't my kid get a good education and I don't have to pay for it? Or put them in that public, but I don't want them there. I don't want them in that public school.
Right.
I want them to have these opportunities or experiences that they would have at a private school, or some sort of charter school. There are a lot of challenges that public schools and public school teachers face that you might not, that you don't face at a charter school or a private school, because it's a whole different set of rules.
Yeah.
A whole different set of rules.
Yeah, you got to teach a different criteria.
Like I said, I heard a principal say, with suspending kids, he was like, if that child is not here, that child's not being educated, but not only are they not being educated,
you ain't getting paid.
Yes.
That's definite. Yeah.
So that's when they came with the in-school suspension became a real big thing.
Yeah.
We get suspended back when we was in school. We was you didn't
were
come
gone.
to school.
You were gone.
But
yes. So there is a lot of pressure on public school teachers to make sure that kids are there, and they have to deal. They have to deal with a lot of things that they shouldn't have to.
Right.
The teachers.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny because I had a teacher here recently. We were talking, and they said, "Man, I didn't know that I was going to have to be a teacher, a counselor, a babysitter, the school nurse."
And now it's about to be even more. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what else they're going to need to be.
Yes.
But before we go, I want to really nail down the voucher tax credit thing. And I want to see if I understand as a parent with a kid in the public school. When it comes to the tax credit, unless I want to send my child to a private school, then the tax credit really won't affect me. Or unless I'm homeschooling, the tax credit really won't affect me. But when we say tax credit, that's still, I'm paying up front. And I have to wait to get my money. back then. So I still gotta have the money up front.
Yeah.
So don't think the government about to send me a check for $5,000. I just want I want it to be clear in my head.
Yes, sir.
And so, but you can see what's the word? You can foresee in the future vouchers is a possibility, high percentage chance. And when that comes, we want to understand that. Let me just in the black community.
Mm-hmm.
If that's why I'm in the black community or underserved community.
Yes.
What do I need to be the most important thing, would you say, that I need to pay attention to when the vouchers come and everybody gets that?
Okay. So, you should already be doing this.
Okay. I'm
All
sorry.
right. And this is parental involvement.
My fault.
No. I'm just saying, standing in the gap, because, like I said, just like a private school is going to, when we say school choice is parent choice. When you go to that private school, they're going to expect for you to come to parent-teacher conferences. They're going to expect for you to answer the phone call if your child is having some sort of problems. They're going to expect for you to go outside of the classroom and get your child some help if they're struggling in a certain academic area.
Why is that important?
You should be doing the same thing if you're with the same thing if your child is in a public school.
Why is that important?
I mean,
that's part of being a parent.
No, I'm just saying, like, if I'm just working 9 to 5, and I'm not arguing against you. I'm saying, why is that important that I need to know? Okay, if I get a voucher, don't just make sure I know up front. If I'm trying to get my kid in this private school, it's gonna be some more expected of me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to work and
you
I
have
got a
to
little
know
extra 5,000. Why is that important?
Right,
Well,
I'm gonna keep it real.
Okay.
Can we go to a real? I'm just keep it to the real, because I'm gonna bring some honesty, true facts.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma is experiencing this for the first time.
Yeah.
This been going on in the other states.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people like LeBron James has been benefiting from kids going from this situation because he's able to take his kids and he was able to go wherever he wanted to go because of the talent he got.
Yeah.
Now, what's going to happen? This is what I'm telling because you asked that question about how does this what's going to happen in the black community? I'm fit to be honest with you. The black community is fit to thrive. They don't know what they're doing as far as giving us disability. You're going to give black kids the ability to go to any school and they don't have to pay for it and they great athletes.
Well,
so now because see, this is where here's where I see the problem. When people start getting upset and all these black kids then went to these private and charter schools and they showing out on the court and on the field, they are winning championships for these schools. Now that's when they're not gonna want this because it changes.
But hasn't that been happening already? It's already been happening.
But you just about to make it more easier.
Well, and they opened that up when they did the open transfer to anywhere.
That's right.
Y'all talking about sports?
We're talking about school.
We're talking about school, but you can have a child can transfer to any school that they want to, long as they can get there. Now, when you talk about
and it's going to be built off sports.
But, okay, so reason why I'm saying that this has already happened and it's been happening, I mean, forever. All right? Well, one of the funniest but most honest and interesting conversations that I've ever had with a former educator.
Yeah.
I remember this like it was yesterday, November 1997. I had started working at Thelma Parks Elementary, and there was a older white gentleman there who was the PE teacher. We just called him Coach. We were walking down the hallway, and he said, "You know what? One of the worst things that has ever happened to the black community."
Decent.
He said
Decent.
desegregation.
All the old black dudes say
No,
that.
this is a white man telling me this.
Okay.
This is
My
this is a Caucasian gentleman telling me this.
Yes.
And he said desegregation, and I got all up in arms. I'm like, what you mean? He said, no, hear me out.
Yeah, till you
Hear
explain
me
it.
out. He explained. He said,
Yeah.
hear me out. He said some of the best schools in Oklahoma were the black schools, and he named off several of them. Some schools I had never heard of, and I was like, oh wow. He said, but what desegregation brought about was these students and teachers, the best, were plucked from those schools and sent to white schools.
Yeah.
He said, and then he said the best one, and the first thing he mentioned was the best athletes,
Yep.
the best teachers, and then the best academic students. And he said, and what was sent back down to those schools was the worst.
Yep. On both sides.
Yes.
From whites and black. The
Yeah.
worst whites and blacks
Yeah.
went to the school and made that school
Yes.
terrible. That's basically what ended up happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I was,
Yeah.
you know, I was like, wow, you know, that was very interesting to me, and it's kind of surprising and a shock. And I was happy that, you know, that I was able to learn this, and I, you know, years after that, I also heard other people say it, both white and black people say that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I had left Oklahoma in 2004 and moved to New Jersey to help with the education consulting, I was asked by my uncle, he was like, you know, what is it that you think we're going to have to do? And his program that he was starting was called Bridging the Gap. Okay. And they were raising the extra funds that weren't covered by these vouchers for these you know, for parents and students.
Mm-hmm.
I said, it was time. He said, time? He said, oh, yeah, we spend a lot of time raising money. I said, no. I said, time as far as standing in for these parents when they cannot be there for their child.
Right.
And he was like, no, that's not what we do. I said, but that's what is going to be needed in order for these students to succeed, because you're going to take a kid from, let's say, inner city Philadelphia,
Yeah.
and take them from their neighborhood to another neighborhood or city or town that they're not familiar with, and drop them off there, and then let's say they come from a single parent home.
Yeah.
Well, mom was working, and the child needs something, or there's a certain thing going on that the child needs some support, but mama can't get there.
Yeah.
Or daddy can't get there.
How does not being able to, and not to, you know, sometimes you just can't make it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, life, you working, you single mom, single father, you know, single father,
Yes.
kid, whatever, and you know, I'm driving, you know what I'm saying, a ways to take my daughter, and because to me, when you said that the most important thing is parents need to understand that if you're traveling, if you're taking your son or daughter to a private school or a charter school, that the responsibility level will be raised.
Yes.
Also, one aspect that I think is that when you have a kid in school, and that school has after-school programs and just little bitty things that that go on at that school in that area. If you're traveling a long distance, 25, 30 minutes to get to school or to a school, in the evening time doing, traffic, rush hour traffic and stuff like that, you could be putting your kid in a position to where they miss out on a lot of things. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I personally have hurt my daughter's feelings.
Yes.
Because she really wanted to go do some stuff at the school.
Yes.
And it was after hours, and I know I heard but it just wasn't I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it at that time. And so I said, well, I'll do it the next time. And she got up, she
was disappointed.
She was disappointed,
Yeah.
and she actually texted me.
Yeah. Yeah.
She texted me she was disappointed because they not doing it anymore. I'll just say it was a play.
Mm.
They had a play. She wanted to go see a play.
Yeah.
I couldn't go that. I said, well, we can go. She said, oh, I think it's 2 days. It might be 3 days. I don't know. Okay, well, let's hope this third. Well, she texted me, no, we don't. They're not doing the play no more. So you made me miss it. And
so what you got to do to make up for that is that
Yeah.
you got to find out when there is a play going on at the Civic Center or one of these other and give it that experience, or even sometimes we got to make the big sacrifices.
Yep.
What you talking about?
No, I'm saying.
You talking about Willis? No.
So I'm saying so you might have to, hey, you didn't get to make that one. So what Daddy's gonna do is we're gonna go and see a play in New York. We're gonna see a Broadway play, or you don't even have to go that far. You can go down to Fort Worth. They have a African American theater down there.
Okay.
In downtown Fort Worth, that would be a great experience. A lot of time, having kids and raising kids and educating kids is more than a notion, and it takes a lot of sacrifice. A lot of times we think, our parents didn't do everything. They tried their best. Sometimes we don't recognize the sacrifices that they made for us, but they did, and we have to do the same for our kids. A lot of times teachers, they are constantly sacrificing and doing things to make sure that their kids' social, emotional, and academic needs are met. And that's public and private, and we need to celebrate them more for that. But that's and you apologize. As a father, you did what you were supposed to do. You apologize. It didn't work out. You have to explain that to her and say, hey, can Daddy make up for it by doing this? This is something that she's interested in, and sound like that, she is has a growing passion for it.
Well, she wants to be involved. You're right. And first of all, let me tell you, brother, you're right. Great advice. I appreciate that. But I guess what I'm trying to get at as well is that she wants to be involved in school. She wants to be involved in after school activities. That's where her friends is at. And you put yourself in a position to where you may disappoint your kid all the time if you say, well, I just want them to get the best education in the world, so I'm gonna travel over here and send them to this private school over here. Not thinking it through. Well, what about this and what about that? Who's gonna pick them up? What about the after school activity? So I'm just saying, parents, in the near future, there's a high percentage chance that the vouchers come. The most important thing, what my brother is saying, is that you have to understand the time, the effort, and the extras that public. So we really have missed. We've really been spoiled.
We have.
With public schools.
We really have.
Because the teachers in the public schools do so much and they don't ask that much of you.
No.
And you really don't have to have a lot of responsibility. You don't even have to look at her.
But listen.
You don't even have to get them to the bus.
But listen to what you said. She wants to be involved.
Yes.
in after school activities. She wants to be a part of something. She wants to
Yes.
fit in.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say I take my child from their neighborhood school and I put them in a private school. Are they going to be accepted? Are they going to fit in?
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe not.
We worried about is the education part.
Yes, yes.
But education is not just a school
academics,
testing. It's
yeah.
not just academic
Just grades.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny. A young man talked about his moving from a public school to a private school, and it was based on him playing sports, and he received a scholarship to go to this school. He said him and his mom drove up to get enrolled, and they parked in the area that they thought was for visitors and the teachers area.
Mm-hmm.
And they went inside, got him enrolled, and they came back, and it was lunchtime, and all the students was getting in the cars. Mercedes-Benz, Audis, BMWs,
They just
Jaguars.
parked over there.
They was parked in the student section.
Yeah.
And he said, he was like, whoa, mama, these are the kids' cars.
Mm.
You know, what type of car am I going to have to drive when I come here? And he was talking about him noticing that his situation was a lot different from theirs.
Yeah.
You know, and having to adjust to, you know, when he went and spent the night at a friend's house, you know what I'm saying, compared to him spending the night at a friend's house in his neighborhood. You know, what was accepted to walk around in and what he wore, some,
Right.
you know, basketball shorts or whatever, to now he's, you know, going to spend the night at this friend's house where, you know, they have the full pajama suit on,
Right.
you know, things of that nature, house shoes and whatnot. He said it was different, and it took some time for him to adjust to. But he was able to adjust and succeed.
Took some time.
It takes a little bit of time. And that's what you have to really think about and watch for. You know, how's my kid feeling about this? You know, did I communicate with them about this? You know, or did I just, hey, this is what I want for you?
Should DEI take away all of that, what we're talking about right now? Should DEI lessen the effects of kids' transitions?
You going straight to the other one, or how you want?
Well, I was just going to pose that question.
All right.
And
Go ahead.
see
Go
if
ahead.
we need to take it to another show. We can take it to another show. And matter of fact, yeah, let's do that. I want you to answer this question, but we're going to answer this question on maybe another episode. Okay. All right. So the question is this: we talked about vouchers, and we've talked about tax credits. And with vouchers, one of the most important things that our guest said is that we have to understand that it's not just academics that you need to pay attention to. You got to make sure that your parental responsibility will be raised, and also what type of stress are you going to put your kid under with having to go into different environments that they're not used to, since they're coming away from their neighborhood and away from their culture, and you're throwing them into another neighborhood and culture. Would that kid be able to? Have you prepared that kid to be able to work with that transition? Now, DEI is coming from federal to corporate, and is seeping greater and greater into the school system. What is DEI? Diversity, equality, and inclusion. And so my question that we're going to answer on another episode, you have to come back and check it out. The question is this: how can DEI lessen the stress that a child would go through when transitioning from, whether you got a voucher or not, whether you got a tax credit or not. He's just going from one district to another district because you changed cities, states, or neighborhoods. So is DEI important, and how does it affect you? That's what we're going to talk about on next episode. We want to thank everybody who tuned in and who listened to this podcast. We want to thank and welcome our guests to the Pride, and we want to thank you for listening to Let's Talk with Drop and Jabbo, where we bring it real, we bring it raw, and we talk about schools, communities, and conflicts that intertwine with all of those, and families as well. So with that being said, we appreciate you guys. Thanks again. That is it for this episode. Hey, we hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. If you did, please do us a favor and hit the like button and share with somebody else. And if you want notifications when our episodes or monthly live podcasts publish, then you gotta go to the website. Subscribe. Do that now so that nothing gets missed by accident. Thanks again and for supporting us.
I'm as tough as you made me, but you never break me. No, you never break me. They say I should give it up like